And I'm delighted to be joined now by Thomas Gift, who's Associate Professor of Political Science at University College London and Director of the Centre on US Politics there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be with you.
So you wouldn't have thought, perhaps, that Trump still has the ability to shock us after all we've heard from him, but he clearly does. How has he been able to close the gap with Harris? Is the entertainment shock factor part of it, or what else is going on here?
Well, I don't know if he's closing the gap that much. I mean, he has gained maybe 1 or 2 percentage points in the last week, which gives him the momentum, certainly. But still, right now, we're looking at a race that's about 47, 48, give or take. That's certainly within the margin of error, and it's essentially just a coin flip. I think Donald Trump has really tried to paint Kamala Harris as a flip-flopper who doesn't have any principles. He will say that she used to be for Medicare for all, now she's not. She used to be for looser border control, now she's not. She used to be against fracking, now she's not. And so I think that sort of playing that message over and over has been one way to resonate with voters in swing states.
Stay with us because we're going to jump into a big talking point from Saturday night. That's Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, who held his own rally to support Trump and announced he'd randomly hand out $1 million a day to a registered voter who signed a petition run by his pro-Trump organization. Let's watch what happened there.
Since early October, tech billionaire Elon Musk has been trying to encourage swing state voters to sign a petition in favor of free speech and gun rights. And he's been using his most persuasive asset, his money. His pro-Donald Trump Political Action Committee has been paying $47 to every registered voter who signs. But on Saturday, he said the media weren't paying enough attention to his petition, so he upped the ante. Anyone who signs in the largest swing state of Pennsylvania will now get $100, and a lucky few will get much more.
So I have a surprise for you, which is that we're going to be awarding $1 million to randomly to people who have signed the petition every day from now until the election.
Although he had previously vowed to stay out of politics, Musk has adopted deeply right-wing stances since taking over Twitter, now X, in 2022. Over the summer, he endorsed Trump and has ramped up various means of support for the candidate, including donating at least $75 million to his pro-Trump super PAC. Musk's America PAC has paid to run ads on Facebook and Instagram for voter registration, but has come under fire for only collecting detailed personal data on people from battleground states without helping them to register to vote. On X, Musk has repeatedly praised Trump and pushed false and inflammatory claims on topics including immigration, free speech, and voter fraud. In return, Trump has offered Musk a hypothetical high-level position in the as-yet unestablished Department of Government Efficiency.
So Thomas Gift, explain this for us, right? Because this might be a surprising move for some of our viewers in countries with perhaps stricter campaign financing rules. Is what Musk is doing here seen as outrageous at all, or is it just the status quo in America?
Well, it's certainly not seen as outrageous for Pennsylvanians who are signing up. Actually, I'm a Pennsylvanian and I'm a registered voter, even though I'm in London. And so I guess that makes me eligible for this contest. I think Musk is able to get away with this because he's not providing sort of an explicit quid pro quo that I'll pay you if you vote a certain way. He's only doing it with his PAC. These political action committees essentially allow big donors to court money, to spend money in ways that lack transparency, lack accountability. Elon Musk, I think, the outrage that he hopes to provoke is sort of the point. He wants attention for this. He wants to place the spotlight on Trump. And so there's so many things that Elon Musk has done in recent days and weeks. This is just kind of the latest. So it's an interesting political strategy, to say the least.
But, I mean, how can it not be a quid pro quo? You sign a petition on his pro-Trump website, that puts you in the running for $1 million. I mean, there's nothing clearer of a quid pro quo than that, surely.
Well, it's not explicit that you have to vote for Trump then. I think that is kind of the differentiation. But at the same time, I do think that it violates political norms certainly, because we think about vote buying and clientelism as being anti-democratic. It is ironic because Musk has complained that if Trump isn't elected, that this will be the last election that Americans face. And yet, at the same time, I think he's doing some things that critics would say are anti-democratic, or at least not in the spirit that we would think of for a free, open, transparent democracy.
Let's zoom in now to one of the voters' top priorities, which is health care. Pew Research says it's the second highest priority for voters on average. So activists say a lot is at stake for black women in particular and have been raising awareness about racism, bias and intensive care. Let's take a watch of this news report.
Francesca is a doula herself. But when she gave birth to her third baby, she knew something was deeply wrong when she was rushed into an emergency C-section. It ended up having serious consequences as she required a hysterectomy and went into cardiac arrest.
I remember I told my doctor when I was getting cut, I can't breathe. And she said, oh yeah, you can. When they cut me open, they cut my uterus and it ruptured my uterus and it bled out. And it caused all the heart issues and the blood clotting and all the things like that.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, black women in the US are 3 times more likely to die during pregnancy or delivery than white women. It attributes these disparities to multiple factors, including structural racism, implicit bias, underlying chronic conditions, and a lack of access to quality healthcare. With just 2 weeks to go till the US election, advocates are pushing to raise awareness about these reproductive health inequalities impacting black women.
I think people feel demoralized and scared about what is possible depending on who holds power. And so I think that that's one of the things that makes this cycle feel really hard.
Democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like.
Activists say that reproductive justice goes beyond abortion, a key debate in this election since the US overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022. Kamala Harris has made abortion rights a tenet of her campaign, calling out Donald Trump for the deaths of 2 young black mothers in Georgia, a state with abortion restrictions and the 8th highest black maternal mortality rate. Trump has taken credit for appointing Supreme Court judges who voted to reverse abortion rights. His campaign says that the former president has always made the health and safety of black mothers a priority.
Now, Thomas, looking at Roe v. Wade specifically, it wasn't long ago that some analysts that we've been speaking to here on France 24 were saying, actually, if Roe v. Wade alone could have been enough to really swing this whole election in favour of Kamala Harris. But has Trump managed to change the narrative around this at all?
Well, I still think that abortion is the Achilles heel of Republicans generally and Donald Trump specifically. In the 2022 midterms, Republicans significantly underperformed, in large part, I think, because of the abortion issue. A lot of suburban women came out and supported Democrats. We also saw that in state-level referendums across the country in 2023. Donald Trump recognizes that this is a problem for Republicans. It's especially a challenge for him because he has to court 2 different constituencies. One is evangelical Christian conservatives who are very supportive of what Trump did by installing 3 conservative Supreme Court appointments to the bench, which eventually overturned Roe versus Wade. But at the same time, he does realize that there are a significant number of women who, on this issue alone, won't support him. So he's tried to take kind of a middle ground and say he's not in favor of a national abortion ban, but instead he's in favor of leaving this up to the states. But still, that's certainly not satisfactory to a large fraction of women. And I think it's going to cost him votes ultimately.
And given that this election might come down to a matter of tens, hundreds of thousands of votes in swing states, are there other key demographics in those states that might be a deciding factor as well?
Well, we always think about sort of the suburban vote, moderates who tend to be socially liberal but economically conservative, certainly watching those groups. I'm also looking at black men in particular. This is a constituency that Donald Trump has made a lot of inroads with, and at one point during this campaign, he was on pace to have a higher share of the black vote than any Republican presidential candidate in history. Of course, the Latino vote is large and growing. It's around 20% of the constituencies in some states. Trump has also made some inroads with that group as well. So suburban voters, minorities, and women, particularly in the suburbs, I think that those are the key constituencies that are still maybe undecided or need to be mobilized to get out to vote for both candidates.
Thomas Gift, political scientist at UCL. Thank you very much for your time. And obviously, if someone offers you $1 million check to vote a certain way, you won't be accepting, of course. Thanks for your time, Thomas. Speak to you soon.